Black Panther Wakanda Forever was a massive film and earned a lot of money at the box office. No matter your opinion of the movie, whether you are a recaster fan, we can't deny the sheer power and presence of the film. Of course, it didn't earn out as well as the first movie in the series that earned $1.3 billion worldwide, placing it among the top grossing movies of all times domestically. In fact, the first Black Panther movie earned almost as much domestically, when adjusted for inflation, as Wakanda Forever's total worldwide gross. Of course, many fans opted to wait for Wakanda Forever to stream on Disney Plus, giving its premiere some of the highest numbers ever. But like the theatrical release, Wakanda Forever failed to maintain as many repeat viewings as the original Black Panther movie. I feel the biggest reason for the reduced performance is the movie itself. Not only did this movie kill off the iconic T'Challa character despite sizable fan backlash, they also killed off the Queen Mother, as well as forced in new characters and story elements all designed to promote the new Black Panther. However, the number of compromises destroyed the film's own continuity, setups, and payoffs. And they did this while compromising the very thing they sought to promote: powerful female characters. In this video, I'll explain why and how I feel this happened. I think it's important to emphasize that I will not use comic book material nor references to comic book sources in this critique. All of my evidence will come from the Wakanda Forever movie itself. We all know the script went through multiple drafts and versions. I believe we can see a much better film at certain points in the story, a film that sadly suffered not only from the death of Chadwick Boseman, but from the subsequent decision to all but remove black males from the movie, with the exception of Winston Duke's M'Baku, and the choice to focus on ultra-powerful and capable black female characters. Now, don't get me wrong. Having strong female representation is a plus and to be applauded. But the avenue the director, writer, and executive producer chose to pursue not only compromised what could have been a fantastic and coherent film, but lessened the powerful female characters themselves. Understand this. The story we received actually tarnished the female characters' decision-making ability rather than showcase their intelligence and agency in a film marketed to black women and girls. In my opinion, and others can disagree, I feel this happened because the movie failed to pay off story elements, particularly in the final battle, that the film itself introduced. So let's take a look at 6 of those setups right now. The movie begins with the outside power actually violating Wakanda's sovereignty and attacking a ship owned by the Wakandans and threatening their citizens. And then we see the Dora Milaje appear and they begin to take out these soldiers. But the Dora Milaje don't kill the soldiers, they stun them. Even though Queen Ramonda and the actress did a fantastic job, an Oscar-worthy job in this scene, the point is that Queen Ramonda should have imprisoned those soldiers and just delivered their dog tags to the UN. Instead, she delivers unharmed soldiers, and these soldiers will obviously be debriefed and their intel used for a future attack, which the movie reveals will happen. I didn't say it, folks. Ryan Coogler does. Or at the very least, they could have branded these soldiers before turning them over to the UN. The first movie shows that Wakandans brand criminals who try to steal from them. But overall, I feel this inability of the Wakandans to really kill anyone on screen except aliens is a huge problem for the concept of a powerful and advanced civilization. Okoye has an awesome bridge fight with the Tulokans and their mutant leaders. This is well choreographed and I actually loved it. And then the twist happens when Okoye discovers that the fighting staffs that they use, the spears that they use, they don't really kill the Tulokans. That's an excellent scene. It's an excellent setup. But what does the movie do? They fail to deliver on it. And in doing so, they tarnish Okoye's ability as a leader of the Dora Milaje. How, you ask? We never see her deliver this news to Shuri or Queen Ramonda, so the weapons can be upgraded using Wakanda technology. We never see Okoye reveal this information on screen. When the Dora Milaje bring those weapons to the final battle, without any obvious upgrades or modification, it's a huge failure, not only to pay off a very nice twist, but it also, again, tarnishes Okoye's ability as a leader. Logically, she should have told Shuri, the high priest of Wakanda technology and a leader, and is going to be the Black Panther, but we never see that. The audience is introduced to a new Wakandan sub that is also reconfigurable. Plus, Nakia knows the location of the Talokan Empire. And by the way, so does Shuri, because she was taking on a I can show you the world type of moment with Namor, and she was shown the whole setup. So both of them know the location, but failed payoff. Nakia and the Wakandans don't use the reconfigurable vehicle in the final battle. Why weren't there at least that one, if not a squadron of those things going underwater and taking out the Talokans in those damn whales? I don't know. It absolutely blew my mind. You're shown the technology. It's a very good scene, and we never see it used again. And it absolutely blew my mind, because if you need something that's in the water that can attack the Talokans, you have it. And you can remote control it so that you aren't jeopardizing any Wakandan lives. Nakia uses the Wakandan rifle, the sonic rifle, that kills a Talokan warrior with one shot. And again, I covered this in another video because I had a friend who was trying to say that the Wakandans didn't have the technological infrastructure to make more of those, but yet the movie itself, again, disproves that. When you have two Midnight Angel suits of armor built, and Riri Williams, her Ironheart suit is rebuilt, and then we see Shuri rebuild her muscle car and finish it out. So yeah, they had more than enough material and people and infrastructure to make more of these rifles. At the very least, Nakia or somebody should have used the one that she had. The excellent subplot of sowing doubt in the Talokans and not seeing Namor as a god and following him blindly because they believe he's a god, you sowed that doubt in this scene because he could not save the warrior that Nakia shot. And they linger on that, and they let you see it, and it really says to me that this is evidence of a better movie that was written in one of the earlier drafts, and all of that was just cut out, and it fell by the wayside. And I'm going to explain why that happened. But again, to me, that was the biggest failure. This movie has excellent scenes in them, and then they aren't paid off. And there's a reason, and it's a sad reason. Namor proves he has air superiority over any Wakandan aircraft. The Talokans don't use any aircraft. They don't have to because they have Namor. So if the Wakandans can neutralize Namor's advantage, they would have air superiority in any rematch. Shuri, in a moment of brilliance, which again shows good decision making and good tactical thinking on her part, she comes up with a way to neutralize Namor. Now, we actually see her do that and realize that she can dry his skin out, and she's going to use her yacht. So they set up the trap. The trap works. She gets him inside the royal yacht, turns on her trap to pull the moisture or dry him out and disable him. She flies him away from the battlefield. That was excellent. That was a partial payoff. That's what you needed to see in this movie, and that's what you needed to see Shuri and these other powerful females making those kind of decisions based on stuff they observed earlier in the movie. This is one of the examples where they actually used what they observed earlier in the movie. Why they didn't do that with the rifle? Why they didn't do that with the submersible? Why they didn't do that with their fighting staffs that they know don't take them down unless you augment them? I don't know. But in this one case, in one of the versions of the draft, they got it right. This worked. But then what happens? Namor's off the battlefield, and the Wakandans don't bring in any more aircraft. None at all. They don't use any of the remote control craft at this point, now that they can have air superiority. The Midnight Angels briefly fly through the water, only to land on the ship and basically remain there for the rest of the battle. Ironheart dives into the water at one point to save someone, and later she goes one-on-one with Namora. Why didn't Riri's fight with Namora serve as a diversion to keep the Talokan away from, say, the Wakandan subs? Oh, that's right. We don't have the subs used in this final battle. It's like it's a total wasted opportunity. You had an excellent payoff. You had an excellent tactical decision made by Shuri, and it wasn't taken advantage of by the Wakandans. They're all on the deck, not using any of their other technology in this moment. It was truly sad. The Wakandans discover the Talokans are susceptible to a certain frequency of sound. Problem is, they only had one source of that. And the biggest thing for me goes back to the fact that Nakia and Shuri know where the Talokan's homeworld is. Why didn't they send one of those devices to that empire and turn it on and use it as a huge diversion to split the Talokan forces? Why weren't they using that sound, and non-lethal, by the way, on the very people and citizens of the Talokan Empire? In fact, we see Namora telling Namor that the diversion to lure away the palace defenders worked. So the writer and the director understands how diversions can work in a battle scene. But wait, didn't we see this happen before? Yes, we did. In Avengers Infinity War, we see another invading enemy use a diversion to draw Wakandan warriors away from their target. So let's get this straight. We have two in-universe enemies use a diversionary tactic on the Wakandans, but the Wakandans never think of using the same tactic themselves? You have to ask the question, well, why did Ryan Coogler abandon all these excellent setups, these glimpses of a better film? Well, it's simple. All of these things were compromised because they needed the final Power Girl moment for Shuri. In promoting Shuri as the new Black Panther and placing everything on her shoulders, Wakanda Forever made the same mistake that another popular franchise made in its sequel movie, namely Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker. In that movie, everything had to come down to the female protagonist, Rey. This meant that all the efforts of the other characters ultimately failed so that Rey, and only Rey, could defeat evil and save the day. This ending, when compared to the previous movies, just highlighted the lack of an effective battle. In the original Star Wars movies, for example, The Return of the Jedi, each segment of the battle had its own goal that didn't depend on Luke Skywalker's defeating the Emperor or Vader. In fact, Luke barely made it off the Death Star before it exploded. In a similar fashion, the first Black Panther movie had a better constructed finale because various subplots didn't rely on T'Challa winning his fight with Killmonger. Okoye successfully stopped the charge of the breakaway Wakandans. Everett Ross, with Shuri's help, of course, successfully shot down the Wakandan aircraft, which were loaded with weapons destined for the war-bent faction of Wakandans outside the kingdom. Each character had a pivotal role to play in the final victory. Contrast this with Rise of Skywalker and Wakanda Forever, where the main protagonist, the female protagonist, has to be the only one to win the battle in a personal confrontation with the villain. Despite having franchise-proven blueprints for success with previous movies, each studio rejected what had worked in the past and instead chose this type of finale that clearly didn't resonate with longtime fans of either property. This is not an opinion, but a fact that has been demonstrated in the lower box office numbers, even when adjusted for inflation, particularly in the case of Wakanda Forever. Wakanda Forever is a beautifully made film. The cast and the crew did an incredible amount of hard work to produce this project. In terms of the visuals, of course, it's better than the first Black Panther. No one can deny that, and I won't either. But so was The Rise of Skywalker. That movie had some of the best special effects in the industry, but no one would argue that story wasn't a mess. Wakanda Forever's story is also a mess. Not only did it fail the film despite the visually stunning imagery, but the flawed story decisions undercut the female characters themselves. Given all the problems mentioned in this video, I feel the MCU's version of Wakanda is forever compromised.